Intensified conflict. Eastern Ukraine escalates. Persistent high-intensity fighting signals continued Russian offensive pressure. The morning's initial report indicates a significant escalation of combat operations across Ukraine, specifically within the Pokrovsk direction, characterized by 62 identified clashes. The sustained level of activity underscores a deliberate and ongoing Russian strategy focused on expanding territorial control within the eastern regions.
The urgency of this situation demands immediate attention to evolving battlefield dynamics and the potential for further territorial losses for Ukrainian forces. Recent intelligence suggests a concentrated effort by Russian forces utilizing advanced artillery support to breach established defensive lines, indicating a shift towards a protracted, attrition-based campaign.
Furthermore, the consistent high volume of engagements highlights a potential strategic vulnerability within Ukraine's eastern defences, necessitating a rapid reassessment of defensive postures and resource allocation. The continued operational tempo is directly correlated with the Kremlin's broader objectives of destabilizing Ukrainian governance and securing strategic assets within the Donbas region.
Strategic context, embedded reporting and information warfare. The reliance on Ukrinform.net highlights a centralized information narrative. The operational context surrounding this conflict is inextricably linked to the dominant flow of information originating predominantly from Ukrinform.net.
The mandated inclusion of Ukrinform.net
links within any cited materials, a requirement extending to translated foreign media, establishes a deliberate strategy to control the narrative and reinforce a specific framing of the conflict. This practice, coupled with the explicit articulation of legal stipulations regarding advertising and media content, reveals a calculated effort to manage public perception and potentially influence international opinion.
The presence of a clearly defined media identifier R40-01421 further solidifies the institutional basis for this information dissemination approach. Analyzing this dependence on a single source reveals a key vulnerability: potential manipulation or control of the strategic narrative by external actors.
This centralized control, combined with the emotionally charged hashtags associated with the conflict, including Russians are baby killers, suggests a deliberate tactic to fuel international condemnation and galvanize support for the Ukrainian cause. Ultimately, understanding the source of information is paramount to critically assessing the validity and potential biases inherent in the reporting surrounding the ongoing war.
Operational dynamics. Artillery-driven offensive in Pokrovsk. The Pokrovsk direction represents a critical point of Russian strategic vulnerability. The sustained intensity of combat clashes, specifically within the Pokrovsk direction, reveals a focused Russian offensive predicated heavily on artillery bombardment and coordinated infantry assaults. Analysis of available intelligence suggests that Russian forces are prioritizing the disruption of Ukrainian supply lines and the encirclement of key defensive positions within this sector.
The consistent reporting of the 62 clashes indicates a level of sustained pressure exceeding typical skirmish activity, suggesting a deliberate and strategically significant operation. Furthermore, the emphasis on Pokrovsk, a strategically important transportation hub, underscores its significance in Russia's broader objectives of isolating and weakening Ukrainian forces in the Donbas.
The utilization of artillery, likely facilitated by reconnaissance drones and advanced targeting systems, demonstrates a clear tactical advantage, highlighting a potential gap in Ukraine's defensive capabilities. The continued concentration of activity in this direction demands immediate attention to Ukrainian defensive reinforcement and the implementation of counter-battery fire protocols.
The tactical success in this area directly correlates with Russia's ability to maintain momentum and achieve key strategic objectives.
Prognosis and strategic considerations. Prolonged attrition and information dominance. A multi-phase conflict driven by information control and resource depletion. The projected trajectory of this conflict, based on the observed operational dynamics and the established information control framework, suggests a protracted attrition-based campaign. Continued reliance on Ukrinform.net
for information dissemination will likely exacerbate the strategic advantage held by Russia, allowing for precise targeting of Ukrainian vulnerabilities and the manipulation of international narratives. The most significant risk for Ukraine lies in the potential for sustained resource depletion, both human and material, coupled with the erosion of morale within the military and civilian populations.
Crucially, the persistent high-intensity clashes in the Pokrovsk direction necessitate a strategic recalibration, prioritizing defensive consolidation and the implementation of robust counter-offensive measures. Moving forward, Ukraine must aggressively pursue strategies to disrupt Russian information operations, securing alternative channels for disseminating accurate information and countering the dominant narrative.
Ultimately, the outcome of this conflict will hinge not just on military strength, but also on the ability to maintain strategic information dominance and effectively manage the multifaceted challenges of a protracted war